My family cut me off for not lending them money. Now they're begging me to come back. For the longest time, I thought family meant sacrifice. I believed that loving someone meant putting their needs before mine, that being part of a family meant never turning your back when someone needed help. That's what I had been taught since childhood. Family comes first, no matter the cost. And for years, I followed that belief blindly. Every paycheck, every unexpected bonus, every ounce of financial security I managed to scrape together, it never truly belonged to me, because someone in my family always needed it more. First, it was small things, a little help covering my mother's electric bill, a loan for my brother because he had fallen behind on rent. Again, my aunt needed a new transmission. My cousin had an unexpected medical bill. At first, I didn't mind. It felt good to help. It felt like I was doing what I was supposed to do. But the requests never stopped. They grew, and somewhere along the way, it stopped feeling like I was helping out of kindness. It started feeling like obligation, because no matter how much I gave, it was never enough. I should have realized the truth sooner. The signs were there, subtle at first, then glaringly obvious. Like the way my mother would call me only when she needed something. Like the way my brother always had an excuse for why he couldn't pay me back, yet somehow had money for vacations and brand new sneakers. Like the way my family expected me to say yes. They never asked with gratitude, never with humility. It was always a given, as if my hard-earned money was nothing more than an extension of their own wallets. And the moment I hesitated, the guilt started. We're family. Family helps each other. You wouldn't even have money if we hadn't raised you. Don't be selfish. I thought you loved us. And every single time those words worked. I folded. I gave in. I kept handing over my money, telling myself it was temporary. That one day, they'd be stable, and I'd finally be free. But deep down, I knew the truth. It was never going to stop. Not unless I stopped it. The last time my mother asked for money, I finally said no. It wasn't even a big request, just a few $100s to hold her over until next week. But something inside me snapped. I had worked too hard, sacrificed too much, spent too many years struggling while they bled me dry. So, I took a deep breath, and I said, I can't help you anymore. Silence. Then, you can't or you won't. Her voice, once sweet, turned sharp, accusing. I swallowed. I won't. The silence stretched, heavy and suffocating. Then, she laughed. Not a real laugh. A bitter, disbelieving scoff. So that's how it is, she said. After everything we've done for you, this is how you repay us? I clenched my jaw. I've given you thousands of dollars, Mom. And now you're throwing it in my face? She snapped. Wow, you've really changed, haven't you? My chest tightened, but I forced myself to stand firm. Yes, I said quietly. I have. And then I hung up first. The fallout was immediate. Within an hour, my brother texted, "What's your problem? Mom is crying." Then my aunt. "Your mother raised you and this is how you treat her?" Then my cousin. "It must be nice to have money and not care about anyone but yourself." The messages poured in, each one dripping with blame, each one trying to tear me down. They weren't angry because I had refused to help. They were angry because I had stopped playing their game. I didn't respond. I let them be angry. And then, they cut me off. Just like that. No more calls. No more messages. No more invitations to family gatherings. I had always been useful to them. Now that I wasn't, I didn't exist. At first, the silence hurt. I told myself I didn't care, but deep down, I did. I had spent my entire life giving. And now that I had drawn a boundary, they had erased me without hesitation. For weeks I battled with doubt. Had I been too harsh? Had I overreacted? Should I have helped one last time? But then, the quiet settled, and I realized I could actually breathe. I wasn't checking my phone every morning, dreading another request for money. I wasn't walking on eggshells, terrified of disappointing them. I wasn't drowning under their expectations. I was free, and it felt good. Months passed, then a year. I focused on myself, on my career, on the life I had neglected for so long, and without them dragging me down, I thrived. I got a promotion, then another. I moved into a beautiful home, my home. I built a circle of friends who actually valued me, not for what I could give, but for who I was. And I was happy, truly, genuinely happy. Then, one day, my phone buzzed with a message from a familiar number. "Mom, we need to talk." I stared at the screen. Then, another message. "Mom, we miss you." And finally, "Mom, we made a mistake. Please call me." I exhaled slowly, tilting my head. A mistake? No, they hadn't made a mistake. They had made a choice. They had chosen to discard me the second I stopped being useful. And now, after all this time, after abandoning me so easily, they wanted me back. But why? Was it really about family? Or had they simply run out of money? I smirked. Looks like I was about to find out. I stared at my phone for a long time, reading and rereading my mother's messages, dissecting every carefully chosen word. "We need to talk. We miss you. We made a mistake. Please call me." The audacity was almost laughable. For over a year, they had treated me like a ghost, an afterthought they no longer had use for. I had spent countless holidays alone, ignored every major family gathering, and watched from a distance as they carried on without me, as if I had never existed. They had made it clear where I stood the moment I stopped handing them money, and now, suddenly, they missed me? No, they missed my wallet. I knew that with absolute certainty. But still, despite everything, something deep inside me twisted, not with guilt, but with the remnants of old wounds that had never fully healed. Because the truth was, a small part of me had once wished for this moment, for them to realize what they had done, for them to regret how they had treated me, for them to finally see my worth beyond my ability to support them. But I knew better than to fall for their carefully crafted words. This wasn't about me. This was about them, and I was about to prove it. I didn't call. I let the message sit unanswered for 3 full days, waiting to see if they would follow up. They did. "Mom, I don't understand why you're ignoring us. We're trying to fix things." "Mom, can we please just talk?" "Mom, this is important. You're being childish." And there it was, the shift. First, the pleading, then the guilt tripping, like clockwork. I took my time crafting my response. I wasn't going to rush into this conversation blindly. I had spent years being manipulated by their words, their fake remorse, their ability to twist situations to make themselves the victims. Not this time. So finally I typed back, "Me." "Fix what, exactly?" Minutes passed. Then, "Mom, everything. We want to make things right." I raised an eyebrow. Make things right? That was vague. Conveniently vague. So I pressed further. "Me. Define everything. Be specific." She read the message almost immediately, but this time it took her nearly 20 minutes to respond. And when she did, it was exactly what I expected. "Mom, can we talk in person?" "It's complicated." I smirked. Of course, they didn't want to say too much over text. They knew they had no real excuse for the way they had treated me, and putting their reasoning in writing would only expose their hypocrisy. Still, I was curious, so I agreed. I met them at a small cafe on the edge of town, a neutral place, one where I had an easy escape route if things went sideways. When I walked in, my mother and brother were already seated at a booth near the window. My father was noticeably absent. Not surprising. He had always been the type to let my mother and brother handle the emotional conversations while he played the silent enforcer in the background. They both looked up when I approached, and for a moment, neither of them spoke. It was them who looked uncomfortable. Good. I slid into the seat across from them, folding my arms. "All right," I said, my voice steady. "You wanted to talk, so talk." My mother sighed, putting on her best heartbroken mother face. "Sweetheart, why have you been avoiding us?" I nearly laughed. Avoiding them? They had cut me off. They had ignored me for over a year. And now she wanted to flip the script? I didn't take the bait. "You didn't answer my question," I said coolly. "Why am I here?" My brother shifted in his seat, his expression uneasy. He looked rough, dark circles under his eyes, clothes that were slightly too worn for someone who had always prided himself on looking put together. I glanced at my mother. She wasn't much better. Her nails weren't done. Her hair had lost the salon-quality shine she used to maintain religiously. Interesting. It confirmed what I already suspected. They weren't here because they missed me. They were here because they were struggling, and they wanted me to fix it. My mother's expression faltered under my silence, but she pushed forward. Look, honey, we've had some difficulties. There it was, the soft introduction to the sob story. I leaned back. What kind of difficulties? She sighed dramatically. Financial ones. Your brother lost his job a few months ago, and we've been trying to help him, but... You mean you've been supporting him? I corrected. She pursed her lips. We're family. That's what family does. I arched a brow. Funny. I don't remember you having that philosophy when I needed help. A flicker of irritation crossed her face, but she quickly smothered it. We made mistakes, all right? We see that now, but we're struggling, and we need you. There it was, the truth. Not we love you, not we miss you for who you are. Just, we need you. I inhaled deeply, tapping my fingers against the table. Let me get this straight, I said slowly. You cut me off when I stopped giving you money. You ignored me, pretended I didn't exist, discarded me like I never mattered. And now that you need something, you suddenly want to make things right? My brother finally spoke, his voice tinged with frustration. Come on, don't be like that. It's not that simple. Isn't it? I countered. Because from where I'm sitting, it seems very simple. My mother reached for my hand, but I pulled away before she could touch me. Her expression crumpled. Please, just consider helping us. We'll pay you back. I scoffed. Like you paid me back last time? Or the time before that? Or the dozen other times before that? She flinched. I shook my head, standing up. I get it now, I said, my voice steady. I was never your child. I was your safety net, your backup plan. And now that your golden child isn't doing so well, you want me back in your pocket. That's not true, my mother insisted. But it was, and we all knew it. I tossed a few bills onto the table to cover my coffee. You're going to have to figure this one out without me. My mother's face twisted in desperation. You'll regret this. I smiled. No, I really won't. And with that, I turned and walked away. This time, it was me who left them, and it felt damn good. I walked out of that cafe with a clarity I had never felt before. The air was crisp, the sun warm against my skin, but more than anything, there was an undeniable lightness in my chest. It was the kind of weightless freedom that comes when you finally sever the chains that have bound you for far too long. For years, I had allowed my family to take from me, to drain me emotionally and financially, to manipulate me into believing that their love was conditional, tied directly to how much I could give. I had spent too many nights losing sleep over whether I was being selfish for keeping my own money, too many moments questioning if I was the problem. But as I stepped onto the busy street, feeling the warmth of the sun on my face, I realized something crucial. I wasn't the problem. They were. And I was finally done. I expected more messages, more calls, more desperate attempts to reel me back in. And for a while, they came. My mother sent long-winded texts about how I was tearing the family apart. My brother tried the anger route, demanding to know how I could watch them suffer when I had the means to help. My aunt even jumped into the mix, sending me guilt-laced messages about forgiveness and how family sticks together. I ignored them all. Then, the messages changed. When the guilt failed, they turned to threats. Mom, I can't believe you'd do this to your own mother. You'll regret it when I'm gone. Brother, fine. If you want to be a selfish piece of shit, don't come crying to us when you need something. Aunt, you've really changed. Money has made you heartless. I read each message carefully, storing them in my mind as further proof of what I already knew. They had never loved me. They had loved what I could do for them. And now that I was no longer useful, I was the villain. Fine. Let me be the villain in their story, because I was finally the hero in mine. The first year after cutting them off was the most peaceful of my life. I didn't wake up dreading another phone call. I wasn't constantly checking my bank account, wondering how much of my own money I'd have to sacrifice just to keep them off my back. I wasn't burdened by the weight of their endless needs. I was truly living for myself, and it was beautiful. I traveled. I invested in my own future. I surrounded myself with people who genuinely cared about me, not for what I could provide, but for who I was. I built a family of my own, one that wasn't tied together by obligation, but by choice. And I was happy. Then, one day, I got a call from an unknown number. I almost ignored it, but something told me to pick up. "Hello?" I answered cautiously. There was a long pause before I heard a voice I hadn't heard in over a year. "Hey," my brother said. I almost hung up, but something in his tone stopped me. He sounded different, defeated, not angry, not manipulative, just tired. "What do you want?" I asked, my voice neutral. He hesitated. Then, "Mom's in the hospital." I inhaled sharply, my stomach twisting. For all the pain she had caused me, I had never wished her harm. I leaned against the counter, gripping the edge. "What happened?" "She had a stroke," he admitted, his voice raw. "It was bad. They don't know if she's going to pull through." I closed my eyes for a moment, and then I asked the question that had been burning in the back of my mind since the moment he called. "Why are you telling me this?" Another pause, then, "Because she's been asking for you." I debated whether to go, not out of spite, not out of revenge, but because I wasn't sure if I needed closure. I had spent so long healing from their betrayal. Did I really want to open that wound again? But in the end, I went. Not for her. For me. When I walked into that hospital room, I barely recognized the woman in the bed. My mother, once so put together, looked frail, small, powerless. She turned her head slowly when I entered, her eyes widening slightly. She looked at me with something I had never seen before: regret. She tried to speak, but her voice was weak. "You came." I nodded, stepping closer. "Yeah." She reached for my hand, and for a moment I hesitated. Then, slowly, I let her take it. Her grip was weak. Nothing like the iron-fisted woman who had controlled every aspect of my life. Her lips trembled. I made mistakes. I swallowed, waiting. I should have treated you better. It wasn't a grand confession. It wasn't the dramatic, heartfelt apology I had once wished for. But it was something. And strangely, in that moment, I didn't feel anger. I didn't feel bitterness. I just felt tired. I exhaled, squeezing her hand once. "Yeah," I said softly. "You should have." She closed her eyes, a tear slipping down her cheek. I didn't stay long. There was nothing left to say. She passed away 2 weeks later. My brother reached out again, asking if I'd come to the funeral. I declined. I had said my goodbye in that hospital room. I didn't need to stand in a room full of people who had never truly seen me, pretending that our relationship had been something it wasn't. Instead, I took that day to do something for myself. I went to the beach, where the waves met the shore with a quiet, steady rhythm, and I felt no weight on my shoulders, no guilt, no regret, just freedom, because I had finally learned the most important lesson of all. Family isn't about blood. It's about who shows up for you. And I had found my family, one built on love, respect, and mutual support. One that had never made me feel like a burden. One that had never made their love conditional. So as I sat there watching the waves, I smiled, because I knew, without a doubt, that I had made the right choice.